hollowed out through one long narrow slit. That's why it's sometimes called a slit drum. It isn't a drum at all, of course. It's really a kind of wooden gong. The cunning part about the hollowing out is that one edge of the slit is made thinner than the other. This gives you two distinct notes when you beat the edge of the slit with a pair of beaters. The thinner one gives a deep note. Singly, sound the low tone. That's the low tone. Now the high tone. That's the high tone. They call the low tone the male, or lumi, and the high note the female, wali. Further up the Congo, strangely enough, it's the high note which is called the male, and not the low note. This is because with their kind of drum up the river, the high note carries the furthest, the distance, and has nothing to do with the sound of a man's or woman's voice. But here the deep note is the stronger. Now just compare the two. Now how do these locales send their messages? It's like this. A talking drum would be no good at all for sending messages in English, because our language is not strictly a tone language. But most African languages are tone languages, and every word has to be given its correct tone. For example, if I were to say in three low tones, Lisaka, it would mean a marsh or a wet place, Lisaka. Or if I said Lisaka, which means a promise, with two low and one high tone, Lisaka, that would mean a promise. But if I use a low and two high tones, which means a poison, Lisaka, Lisaka. Here's another, Ayeke, which means let him come, Ayeke. Or Ayeke, which means quite the opposite, don't let him come, Ayeke. We compare the two, Ayeke and Ayeke. So you see, you have to be careful to get your tones correct if you want to speak an African language. And that is why the Lokeli people were able to invent their drum language. By copying the tones of their words, or really the tones of whole phrases, they were able to send each other messages across and up and down the river, which made sense at the other end. Incidentally, in all Africa south of the equator, it is only in the Congo Basin that you find message drums. Even 100 miles away from the river, where they still use the same kind of slit drum, they do not know how to transmit messages on them. They are used solely for dancing, and sometimes for sending signals, but not messages, as you find here on the Congo River itself. Now I'm sure you'll immediately ask yourself, how do these African people distinguish between two words with the same tone pattern on the drum, because surely they must sound alike? The answer is simple. Although they are using the words of their own language, they do not really send messages in single words, but in whole phrases. Single words would not be clear, but a phrase would be. For example, everyone has his drum name. One of our drummers here, now, is called Koko. His drum name is a phrase including both his name and an explanation. Koko olungola bukiokio. That means the little chicken which cries kio kio. This phrase is quite clear in its right context. And here's another example. The name for cassava, or manioc, the root which when properly prepared makes tapioca, in the spoken Lokeli language here at Jakusu is lomata. But when we speak of it on the talking drum, we must use the phrase lomata otikali kundo, which means the cassava remaining behind in fallow garden. If we split this up into its individual words, it is clear that the drum or gong simply reproduces the tonal patterns of each spoken word. Lomata, otikala, kundo. Now all together, lomata otikala kundo. Everything, every commonplace object used in everyday life has its drum name or phrase, and of course, everyone knows these phrases by heart. This gong here, this slit drum, is called bungungu, but on the drum itself, it's called bokokowa olundo, the lump of red olundo wood. Now you'll hear the drum again, bokokowa olundo. You often hear stories about the Africans drumming the news when a white man enters a village. In fact, it is difficult to move around these drum message districts without your presence being advertised in this way. The word for a white man is bosongo, but his drum phrase is bosongo rimokonda lokonda, which means white man's spirit from out of the forest. So you see, when you want to send messages on these Lokeli drums, you must first learn the set phrases in order to get over this difficulty or confusion, one single word being confused with another. Once you get this right, the rest is easy. Now for a whole message. We'll make one up. First of all, we start off with a call sign. Ito, ito, ito. That means attention, pay attention. And then we have to say who we are, the drum belonging to so-and-so, is sending its voice upriver or downriver to a certain place or village. And this is how we start. And I'll read out, first of all, 5 phrases. Attention, the talking drum goes downriver to the village of Yakuso. Ito, ito, ito. Bokoko wa olondo. Bole mbole. Kondalika lengeli boke. Ya faka ko alembo. Incidentally, the drum name of Yakuso contains 2 names of old ancestors of the villages, Afaka and Alembo. We repeat that. Ya Afaka ko Alembo. Now for the message itself, because the people of Yakuso will have recognized their call sign and be listening carefully. We'll call up Chief Choko of Yakuso and ask him to send us some supplies of manioc, fowls, firewood, and bananas. Now Chief Choko's drum name is Songeli Tangela Mangu, which means the moon looks down on the earth. And to make it still more clear, we give him his full title as well. Songeli Tangela Manga Ulungula Butikailose. And now we'll give several more phrases. Come, 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 with manioc remaining in the deserted garden, with fowls which cry kio kio, with little sticks of firewood, with bananas which must be propped up when ripe, because ripe bunches of bananas on the stalk are inclined to fall over, they get so heavy. Yaku, yaku, yaku. Lalu mata uti kari kondo. La koko ulungela la bukio kio. La tokolo kolo tatote. Lali kondo libo tumbesa. Now we'll have 3 or 4 more phrases. Come, 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 come. To the white man, spirit of the forest. He is waiting, he is waiting, he is waiting. In the house with a high roof. Of the white man, spirit of the forest. Don't stay behind, don't stay behind, don't stay behind. Endeo sungoli mokonda lukunda. Alumbakeli, alumbakeli. Kondandako yatumbe elundulikolo. Yao sungoli mokonda lukunda. Utikaleke, utikaleke, utikaleke. Now that's the end of our message. And so we sign off with the usual ending, which we beat on the low note, the male note of the drum. Now this is what the whole message would sound like if you were here in the forest on the edge of this great Congo River. How do we know that the message has been received at Chief Choko's village? We should hear this reply coming back from the distance. You can only hear messages effectively up to about 4, 5 or 6 miles, but sometimes a little longer, according to the time of day and the weather. The best time of day is either early in the morning or just after sunset. Well, our reply should come back something like this. What the drum said is correct. Wait for it, wait for it. The food you want for the white man, everything should be there. Ilika umi bungungu, eingo. Tangela, Inganaka, Ilemeya Lusa, Kondo Nakoya Usungolimo, Kondalo Kunda, Bilembole, Bilembole. Of course, there are messages for all occasions. Births, marriages, and deaths are all announced on the drum. Wrestling matches, markets, and dances are all broadcast. This is what we mean by talking drums of the Upper Congo.
us. They will protect us. And wherever they deal with one another, I ain't been scared nothing. I know, because I knew. I knew my great-grandmother have it all in her pocket. Or can walk it up.
Never forget who we is and how far we done come.
I believe here. I don't have no other choice.
Eli, there's a thought, a recollection, something somebody remembers. We carry these memories inside of we. Do you believe that those hundreds of Africans trapped here on this other side will forget everything they once knew? We don't know where the recollection comes from. Sometimes we dream them, but we carry these memories inside of we.
What we supposed to remember, Nana? How we one time was able to protect those we love? On the African one we with kings and queens and built great big cities?
Eli, I'm trying to learn you how to touch your own spirit. I'm fighting for my life, and I'm fighting for yours. Look in my face. I'm trying to give you something to take knock with you, along with all your great big dreams.
Call on those old Africans, Eli. They come to you when you're least asleep. They hug you up quick and soft as the warm, sweet wind. Let them old souls come into your heart, Eli. Let them touch you with the hand of time. Let them feed your head with wisdom that is from this day in time. Because when you leave this island, Eli Bazette, you ain't going to no land of milk and honey.
Eli, I'm putting my trust in you to keep the family together up north. That's the challenge we'll face all you Negro people who are free. Celebrate our ways.
Two beings, Elephant and Rain, had a dispute. Elephant said, "If you say that you nourish me, in what way is it that you do so?" Rain answered, "If you say that I do not nourish you, when I go away, will you not die?" And Rain then departed. Elephant said, "Vulture, cast lots to make rain for me." Vulture said, "I will not cast lots." The Elephant said to Crow, "Cast lots." And Crow answered, "Give me the things with which I may cast lots." Crow cast lots, and rain fell. It rained at the lagoons, but then they dried up, and only one lagoon remained. Elephant went hunting. There was, however, Tortoise, to whom Elephant said, "Tortoise, remain at the water." Thus Tortoise was left behind while Elephant went hunting. There came Giraffe and said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise answered, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Zebra, who said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise answered, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Gemsbok and said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise answered, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Wildebeest and said, "Give me water." Tortoise said, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Rodebuck and said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise answered, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Springbok and said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise said, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Jackal and said to Tortoise, "Give me water." Tortoise said, "The water belongs to Elephant." There came Lion and said, "Little Tortoise, give me water." When Little Tortoise was about to say something, Lion got hold of it and beat it. Lion drank of the water. And since then, all the animals drink water. When Elephant came back from the hunting, he said, "Little Tortoise, where is the water?" Tortoise answered, "The animals have drunk the water." Elephant asked, "Little Tortoise, shall I chew you or swallow you down?" Little Tortoise said, "Swallow me, if you please." And Elephant swallowed it whole. After Elephant had swallowed Little Tortoise, and it had entered his body, it tore off his liver, heart, and kidneys. Elephant said, "Little Tortoise, you kill me." So Elephant died, but Little Tortoise came out of his dead body and went wherever it liked. Many years ago, there was a Calabar hunter named Young who lived in the bush. He killed plenty of animals and made much money. Everyone in the country knew him, and one of his best friends was a man called Ukun, who lived near him. Young was very extravagant and spent much money in eating and drinking with everyone until at last he became quite poor, and he had to go out hunting again. But now his good luck seemed to have deserted him, for although he worked hard and hunted day and night, he could not succeed in killing anything. One day, as he was very hungry, he went to his friend Ukun and borrowed 200 rods from him. He told him to come to his house on a certain day to get his money, and he told him to bring his gun loaded with him. Now, some time before this, Young had made friends with a leopard and a bush cat, whom he had met in the forest while on one of his hunting expeditions, and he had also made friends with a goat and a cock at a farm where he had stayed for the night. But though Young had borrowed the money from Ukun, he could not think how he was to repay it on the day he had promised. At last, however, he thought of a plan. The next day, he went to his friend the leopard and asked him to lend him 200 rods, promising to return the amount to him on the same day as he had promised to pay Ukun. He also told the leopard that if he were absent when he came for his money, he could kill anything he saw in the house and eat it. The leopard was then to wait until the hunter arrived, when he would pay him the money. To this, the leopard agreed. The hunter then went to his friend the goat and borrowed 200 rods from him in the same way. Young also went to his friend the bush cat and the cock and borrowed 200 rods from each of them on the same conditions, and told each one of them that if he were absent when they arrived, they could kill and eat anything they found about the place. When the appointed day arrived, the hunter spread some corn on the ground and then went away and left the house deserted. Very early in the morning, soon after he had begun to crow, the cock remembered what the hunter had told him, and he walked over to the hunter's house, but found no one there. On looking around, however, he saw some corn on the ground, and, being hungry, he commenced to eat. About this time, the bush cat also arrived, and not finding the hunter at home, he, too, looked about, and very soon he espied the cock, who was busy picking up the grains of corn. So the bush cat went up very softly behind and pounced on the cock and killed him at once and began to eat it. By this time, the goat had come for his money, but not finding his friend, he walked about until he came upon the bush cat, who was so intent upon his meal off the cock that he did not notice the goat approaching. And the goat, being in rather a bad temper at not getting his money, at once charged at the bush cat and knocked him over, butting him with his horns. This the bush cat did not like at all. So, as he was not big enough to fight the goat, he picked up the remains of the cock and ran off with it to the bush. And so he lost his money, as he did not await the arrival of the hunter. The goat was thus left master of the situation and started bleating. This noise attracted the attention of the leopard, who was on his way to receive payment from the hunter. As he got nearer, the smell of goat became very strong, and being hungry, for he had not eaten anything for some time, he approached the goat very carefully. Not seeing anyone about, he stalked the goat and got nearer and nearer until he was within springing distance. The goat, in the meantime, was quietly grazing, quite unsuspicious of any danger, as he was in the compound with his friend, the hunter. Now and then he would say, "Bah," but most of the time he was busy eating the young grass, picking up the leaves which had fallen from a tree of which he was very fond. Suddenly the leopard sprang at the goat and, with one crunch at the neck, brought him down. The goat was dead almost at once, and the leopard started on his meal. It was now about 8 o'clock in the morning, and Okun, the hunter's friend, having had his early morning meal, went out with his gun to receive payment of the 200 rods he had lent to the hunter. When he got close to the house, he heard a crunching sound. Being a hunter himself, he approached very cautiously, and looking over the fence, he saw the leopard only a few yards off, busily engaged eating the goat. He took careful aim at the leopard and fired, whereupon the leopard rolled over dead. The death of the leopard meant that 4 of the hunter's creditors were now disposed of, as the bush cat had killed the cock. The goat had driven the bush cat away, who thus forfeited his claims, and in his turn the goat had been killed by the leopard, who had just been slain by Okun. This meant a saving of 800 rods to Ephraim. But he was not content with this. As soon as he heard the report of the gun, he ran out from where he had been hiding all the time and found the leopard lying dead with Okun standing over it. Then in very strong language, Ephraim began to upbraid Okun and asked him why he had killed his old friend the leopard. He said that nothing would satisfy him and that he would report the whole matter to the king, who would no doubt deal with Okun as he thought fit. When Ephraim said this, Okun was frightened and begged him not to say anything more about the matter, as the king would be angry. But the hunter was obdurate and refused to listen to him. At last Okun said, "If you will allow the whole thing to drop and will say no more about it, I will make you a present of the 200 rods you borrowed from me." This was just what Ephraim wanted. But still, he did not give in at once. Eventually, however, he agreed and told Okun he might go and that he would bury the body of his friend the leopard. Directly Okun had gone, instead of burying the body, Ephraim dragged it inside the house and skinned it very carefully. The skin he put out to dry in the sun and covered it with wood ash, and the body he ate. When the skin was well cured, the hunter took it to a distant market where he sold it for much money. And now, whenever a bush cat sees a cock, he always kills it and does so by right, as he takes the cock in part payment of the 200 rods, which the hunter never paid him. Moral: never lend money to people, because if they cannot pay, they will try to kill you or get rid of you in some way, either by poison or by setting bad jujus for you. There was once a woman who had no husband, and she lived for many days in trouble. One day she said to herself, Why do I always feel so troubled? It is because I have neither children nor husband. I shall go to the medicine man and get some children. She went to the medicine man and told him she was unhappy owing to the fact that although she had now grown old, she had neither husband nor children. The medicine man asked her which she wanted, husband or children, and she told him she wanted children. She was instructed to take some cooking pots, 3 or as many as she could carry, and to search for a fruit-bearing sycamore to fill the pots with the fruit, to put them in her hut, and go for a walk. The woman followed these instructions carefully. She gathered the fruit, filled the pots, placed them in her hut, and went for a walk until the evening. On arriving near the kraal, she heard the sound of voices and asked herself, why does one hear the voices of children in the kraal? She went nearer and found her hut filled with children. All her work finished, the boys herding the cattle, the hut swept clean by the girls, the warriors singing and dancing on the common, and the little children waiting to greet her. She thus became a rich woman and lived happily with her children for many days. One day, however, she scolded the children and reproached them for being children of the tree. They remained silent and did not speak to her. Then, while she went to visit her friends in the other kraals, the children returned to the sycamore tree and became fruit again. On her return to her own corral, the woman wept bitterly when she found it empty and paid another visit to the medicine man, whom she accused of having spirited away her children. The medicine man told her that he did not know what she should do now, and when she proposed to go and look at the sycamore tree, he recommended her to try. She took her cooking pot to the tree and climbed up into it. But when she reached the fruit, they all put forth eyes and stared at her. This so startled her that she was unable to descend, and her friends had to come and help her down. She did not go to the tree again to search for her children. They say that once upon a time, a great famine came, and that Father Anansi the spider, and his wife Aso, and his children, Ntukuma, Niwang Komfuya, Thin Shanks, Alfu Dotwe Dotwe, Belly Like to Burst, and Tikono Kono, Big Head, built a little settlement and lived in it. Every day, the spider used to go and bring food, wild yams, and they boiled and ate them. Now, one day, Father Anansi went to the bush and he saw that a beautiful dish was standing there. He said, "This dish is beautiful." The dish said, "My name is not beautiful." The spider then asked, "What are you called?" It replied, "I am called Fill Up Some and Eat." The spider said, "Fill up some so that I may see." The dish filled up with palm oil soup, and Anansi ate it all. When he had finished, he asked the dish, "What is your taboo?" The dish replied, "I hate a gunwad and a little gourd cup." The spider took the dish home and went and placed it on the ceiling. He went off to the bush and brought food, and Aso, when she had finished cooking, called Anansi. He said, "Oh, yours is the real need. As for me, I am an old man. What should I have to do with food? You and these children are the ones in real need. If you are replete, then my ears will be spared the sounds of your lamentations." When they had finished eating, Anansi the spider passed behind the hut and went and sat on the ceiling where the dish was. He said, "This dish is beautiful. and it filled up a plate full of ground nut soup, and Anansi ate. Every day, when he arose, it was thus. Now, Ntukuma noticed that his father did not grow thin, in spite of the fact that they and he did not eat together, and so he kept watch on his father to see what the latter had got hold of. When his father went off to the bush, Ntukuma climbed up on top of the ceiling and saw the dish. He called his mother and brothers, and they too went on top. Ntukuma said, "This dish is beautiful." It said, "I am not called beautiful." He said, "Then what are you called?" It said, "My name is Philip Samanit." He said, "Fill up a little that I may see." And the dish filled up to the brim with palm oil soup. And now, Ntukuma asked the dish, "What do you taboo?" The dish said, "I hate a gunwad and a small gourd cup." Ntukuma said to Afudotwe, "Go and bring some for me." And he brought them. And Ntukuma took the gunwad and touched the dish, and also the little gourd cup, touched the dish with it. Then they all descended. Father Spider, meantime, had come back from the bush with the wild yams. Aso finished cooking them. They called Anansi. He replied, "Perhaps you didn't hear what I said. I said that when I come home with food, you may partake, for you are the ones in need." Aso and her children ate. Father Spider washed and then climbed up on the ceiling. He said, "This dish is beautiful." Complete silence. "This dish is beautiful." Complete silence. Father Spider said, "Ah, it must be on account of this cloth not being a beautiful one. I shall go and bring the one with the pattern of the Oyoko clan and put it on." And he descended to go and fetch the Oyoko patterned cloth to wear. He put on his sandals and again climbed up on the ceiling. He said, "This dish is beautiful." Complete silence. "This dish is beautiful." Complete silence. He looked round the room and saw that a gunwad and a little gourd cup were there. Anansi said, "It's not one thing, it's not two things, it's Ntukuma." Anansi smashed the dish and came down. He took off the Oyoko pattern cloth, laid it away, and went off to the bush. As he was going, he saw that a very beautiful thing called Mperi, the whip, was hanging there. He said, "Oh, wonderful. This thing is more beautiful than the last. This whip is beautiful." The whip said, "I am not called beautiful." The spider said, "Then what are you called?" It said, "I am called Abiri Diabrada, or swish and raise welts." And Anansi said, "Swish a little for me to see." And the whip fell upon him, beedily, 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 swish. Father Spider cried. A certain bird sitting nearby said to Anansi, "Say, Adwaberi, cool and easy now." And Anansi said, "Adwaberi, cool and easy now." And the whip stopped beating him. And Anansi brought this whip home, and he went and placed it on the ceiling. Aso finished cooking the food and said, "Anansi, come and eat." He replied, "Since you are still here on earth, perhaps you have not a hole in your ears and don't hear what I said. I shall not eat." Anansi climbed up above and went and sat down quietly. Soon he came down again and went and hid himself somewhere. Then Tikuma climbed up aloft. He said, "Oh, that father of mine has brought something home again." Tikuma called, "Mother, niwa kumfuya, afu dotwe, come here, for the thing father has brought this time excels the last one by far." Then all of them climbed up on the ceiling. Tikuma said, "This thing is beautiful." It replied, "I am not called beautiful." He said, "What is your name?" It said, "I am called Swish and raise welts." He said, "Swish a little for me to see." And the whip descended upon them and flogged them severely. Anansi stood aside and shouted, "Ha! Lay it on him, especially on Tikuma, lay it on him." Now, when Anansi had watched and seen that they were properly flogged, he said, "Adwobe, cool and easy now." Anansi came and took the whip and cut it into small pieces and scattered them about. That is what made the whip come into the tribe. So it comes about that when you tell your child something and he will not listen to you, you whip him. A woman had a child. One day she went to work in the fields. While she was going to her work, the child cried. When it stopped crying, she suckled it. And after she had finished suckling it, she laid it down in the shade. Then she went on hoeing. Once again, the child cried, and a bird came, an eagle, and sat upon it. It soothed the child with its wings. Then the child which was crying became silent. When she saw this, the woman was greatly alarmed and said, "Dear me, how terrible! The eagle is eating my child." As she went toward it, the eagle flew away. Then she suckled her child, and after she had done suckling it, she put it upon her back. When she had finished hoeing, she left off work and returned to the village. On her arrival there, she did not tell her husband of the marvel which she had seen, but kept it to herself. The next morning, the woman again went to work in the field with her child. The same thing happened. Once again, she laid the child to sleep in the shade. After a time, the child cried. Then she beheld the eagle alight on the child and quiet it. The woman was amazed and said, "What is that eagle doing? It is sitting upon my child, but it neither bites nor scratches it. No. And then the child is quiet. Truly an astounding thing." Once again, the woman went to her child, and when the eagle saw her coming, it flew off and went to sit on a tree. The woman took her child and was greatly alarmed. She returned to the village, and on her arrival, told her husband about it, saying, "A great marvel." Her husband asked, "What about?" The woman said, "Today is the second day I have seen the most amazing thing there where I hoe. I put my child to sleep in the shade, and as soon as it cried, an eagle came, and when it alighted, it stooped over the child and soothed it with its wings. Today is the second day that I have seen that bird act thus. Its name is Eagle." Thereupon the husband refused to believe her, saying, "No, you are lying. There never was such a thing." The wife said no more. Late in the afternoon, the woman took her hoe and went to work in the field. On her arrival, she laid the child in the shade. The child cried. Thereupon the woman thought, "Now I will go and call my husband, who disputed my word and said that I lied. So the woman ran. When she arrived where her husband was, she cried, "Come on! It is you who disputed, saying there never was such a thing. Let us go now and see." The man took his bow and 3 arrows. On his arrival at the field, the woman said to him, "Sit down here. I will put the child to sleep in the shade yonder, and then, when you see the bird coming, hide yourself." The woman left the child and went some distance away, and the man hid himself there. Then the child cried very loudly. As the man watched, he saw the eagle come and sit upon the child. Then the man was greatly alarmed and charged his bow with 2 arrows that he might pierce the eagle sitting on his child. Then he shot. But at that moment, the eagle dodged, and both arrows pierced his child. Now that is the explanation of the origin of murder. The eagle was a kind person. Nevertheless, the father of the child wished to kill it. Then the eagle cursed him and said, "Now is kindness among men at an end, because you killed your child, beginning with you, and going on to all people. You shall kill each other." To this day, people kill each other.